Hey there. What day is it, Mike? Mike. It's hump day. Yes, and we are halfway through our week. And on Monday Morning Cup of Joe, we were talking about we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. Paradigms are real. The scientist Thomas Kuhn wrote in The Search of Scientific Discovery that we see or perceive those things that we want to see or expect to see, not necessarily what's really happening. And this was coined by Thomas Kuhn, but popularized by a futurist named Joel Barker from his video series called The Business of Paradigms, which was very popular in the mid to late 80s. And then he went on to do multiple versions of that. And it's very insightful. But we've got another great mind here, Albert Einstein. He saw it the same way also. I'm trying to think of how he put it. There are people in this world who believe there are no miracles. And then there are people in this world who see everything as a miracle. And let me ask you a very fundamental question. Which of those people do you believe have a better life? Right? We're all searching for this better life, especially in this world of social media where we see people on, next to expensive sports cars or on a yacht, or in exotic places. And we say, gee whiz, how come my life can't be like that? You don't need that to have an incredible and beautiful life. We have to merely change the lens in which we view the world. We have people close to us, our family, right? Do we truly value those relationships? Because sadly, it's not until we lose those relationships we realize how much value we had and we didn't take advantage of it. Or where we live. We're probably within walking distance of some amazing nature, a park, grass, the feel of that grass on your feet, your bare feet, is wonderful. Trees are amazing. Watching children play allows you to relive those experiences in your life too. Is there a correlation between these two perspectives and mental health, which is such a huge, huge topic these days? Yet we fundamentally have the ability to heal thyself by picking a perspective that is healthier or more positive. But it's not entirely your fault. If you go home every day and you watch the news, the media, social media, all these different inputs that we have throughout the day that talk about crime and death and financial distress and all these other things, that's feeding your mind. That's building that paradigm that everything is bad. Very little is good in this world today. How often have we said, boy, I feel sorry for the kids that are growing up now. If they only knew what life was like back in the day. Well, back in the day, life was different because we were seeing it through the eyes of a child. We had better imaginations. We were able to have fun with practically nothing. I mean, I can remember sitting in my backyard playing in mud for hours because I still had that childish creativity. And I don't mean childish in a negative way. I mean, a childish is a magical way. Why do we lose that? Why, as adults, do we become so cynical? What's playing on in the background that's filling this brain of ours to think that things are getting worse? That's some insight into a paradigm. It's a belief system. We talk about limiting beliefs and we think, oh, I don't believe in that kind of stuff. Well, how good is your life working out for you when we don't have things to believe in? Things that elevate us, things that make us happy. Happiness is a big thing. I've been studying it for decades. That's how I started in my career, was researching happiness. I saw the video Humor, Risk, and Change by C.W. Metcalf. And I thought, wow, happiness can be taught. We can choose to be happy. And I know people hate that. If happiness is a choice, then how come I'm not choosing it? You tell me. You tell me. You know, anything worth having takes work. And if we truly want to be happy, first we need to understand that no one's happy 100% of the time, unless they're on substances or, have some other issues. You know, it's interesting to me. I was involved in a kind of a Special Olympics program, and we had some children with Down syndrome. They're the happiest people I've ever seen. You know, at first you might say, oh, I feel so bad for them. But when you begin to work with these kids and play with them, and you see just how happy they truly are, you begin to kind of admire them. You say, gosh, they're happy and they're open and they're honest and they're loving. Man, I loved that. I think I'm the one with a disability, not them. When these kids are faced with adversity, difficulty, and challenges you and I cannot even conceive. They get frustrated. They show their emotion outwardly, but with very little encouragement. They learn to get back up and go in and give it another try. And what's amazing to me in the races, we have relays, right? That when one kid is fallen down, another one of them will come over and lift them back up, and they'll run across that finish line together. What an amazing life it would be as leaders if we look to lift those around us. When you think about it, that's really our job. Our job is not to be the command and control leader. Our job is to create more leaders, to lift up those people around us when they fall, and be that coach and that mentor to say, get back up into the game. How I wish to thank so much for the leaders that I've had in my life that lifted me up and gave me the opportunity to get back into the game. I would not be the person that I am today without their encouragement, their support, and their mentorship. And that's our role as a leader in our organization, is to do that for others. We have an obligation. Our good leaders didn't charge us for being good leaders. They did it because it was who they were, and that's what made them great. I want you to think about that because it has a huge impact in how we lead people. We need to access our ability to be compassionate and understanding, to see a little bit of ourselves in those people that work for us, and to understand that they're, it's not just an intellectual interaction, it's an emotional interaction. Compassion, sympathy, and support are cornerstones of good leadership. And there are things that we need to embrace if we really want to be truly effective. We will get more from our people when we treat them with dignity and respect than if we fill them with intimidation, fear, and let our anger out. It's all connected. Business ultimately is all about relationships. The relationships with our people, the relationships with our peers, and our relationships with the leaders who we follow. It's all encompassing. It doesn't operate in a vacuum. And if it does, it doesn't operate very well, does it? Just do a reality check. Take what I'm saying and compare it to your own experience and tell me that I'm wrong. I've seen it so many times. I've worked with hundreds of teams over nearly 35 years. And the team leaders who are most successful are the ones who take the time to listen to with the intent to understand their people. And they meet them where they are, both on a intellectual and an emotional level. They show that they understand. And leaders like that, if you've had good leaders in your life and you look back, how did they make you feel? Do you think that that even mattered in the results that you got? I'd say it was essential in the results that you got. They inspired us. They gave us confidence. They believed in us when we may not have even believed in ourselves. And this is what leadership is all about. You know, you can learn management. Management's about procedures and, the standard operating procedures, the employee handbook, uh, managing the numbers, all that stuff. But that's management. That's not leadership. And unfortunately, we have a lot of managers out there in a leadership role. And it's not necessarily their fault, because the question is, did they really get training in how to be a leader? They were probably really good at their job, and so they got a promotion to be a manager. They got training on the job that they had. But how much training did they get on being a great leader? That's the disconnect. That's where we fall short. We need to provide our people with good quality leadership skills, which are really relationship skills. That's why in our curriculum, we have, all this interpersonal communication and creating constructive conflict, all these different things that we experience as human beings very much impact the job, the work that we do. Provide people the skills to build good, positive relationships, ultimately benefits everyone. It benefits the organization. And when people are happy on the job, maybe challenged, but if they have this perspective, they become more innovative, more creative, more collaborative. I've seen it a million times over, my friends. I've seen teams fundamentally change their results through a perspective of positivity. And I'm not talking about toxic positivity. I'm talking about true reality, that we can change the face of things by changing our perspective. Now, I know it's an oversimplification and it sounds easy, but it's not. It takes a lot of hard work, diligence, and commitment to the success of the team. But I'll tell you, can you win without that? Short term, sure. But I'm not sure how much we'd appreciate that victory without the relationships that go with it. So I want to sum this up. I want you to make a conscious decision to see the beauty in the life that you're living right now. Now, again, I've had a few students saying, what does this have to do with leadership? Really? You don't think this has anything to do with leadership? If we take on this perspective, if we show some joy in just being alive, and we have fun working with the people that we work with, even though the work is very hard, how do you think that energy is going to move to your people? How will that influence the way they begin to see the work? And not only that, how will it influence their behavior when they go home with their families? There's something significant to this. But I want to leave you with that thought. And I want to challenge you with the opportunity to seek joy, to seek happiness, and not be disappointed when you don't have it, because understanding that we truly appreciate things like happiness when we understand the dichotomy of it, and that we have the contrast of maybe not being quite so happy. Take this and put it in your heart. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. The weekend is in sight, my friend, and I will see you at our next Monday Morning Cup of Joe. Lead well.